It's tonight in Local 12's investigation of Hamilton County Sex Offender Unit.
We uncovered staff shortages and hundreds of missing sex offenders.
Since then, Sheriff Jim Neal shifted resources and rolled out a new plan. But as Dwayne Pullman reveals, the sheriff continues to battle a shrinking budget.
Inside the Hamilton County Courthouse, Deputy Margo Kuderer is now working her new job at the security desk. Sheriff Jim Neal confirming Deputy Kuderer and her former partner in the sex offender unit, Deputy Adam Breeze, have been reassigned.
They're sworn peace officers and they're needed in the Court of Common Pleas.
That may be, but the new assignments are a far cry from what these deputies did well for more than 15 years.
Can have a seat for me. We try our best to manage our time wisely.
Just a few months ago, Deputies Kuderer and Breeze registered and tracked more than 1,000 sex offenders. In January, Deputy Kuderer told me staff shortages were causing hundreds of sex offenders to go missing in Hamilton County each year.
So there could be, a total of 400, 500 offenders that are not in compliance.
Moved by what I uncovered,
I thought your stories were powerful. They were also scary.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine delivered $40,000 to the sheriff to help track down the offenders. How'd you feel about that?
Oh, it was awesome.
Sheriff Neal says he'll use that state money to pay for overtime and a law enforcement sweep to track down missing sex offenders. While that's good, it doesn't explain why the sheriff moved his most experienced deputies from here to here.
But let's talk about why you decided as a department to move these two who had been doing it for so long out of that unit.
Not necessarily out of the unit. We've broadened their assignments.
Deputies Kuderer and Breeze will no longer work in this office. They've been replaced by 2 civilians who will now register the offenders. Under Sheriff Neal's new plan, the 2 civilians will be joined by 6 deputies in the field who already serve court papers and warrants. Now they'll check sex offender addresses too.
So you're taking sworn officers and removing desk duty and putting them in the field?
Yes, sir. Especially since every pay period there's fewer deputies in the field.
And that brings us to the real reason for this move, the dwindling number of deputies caused by Hamilton County's cost cutting.
Financially, this organization is strapped.
In the past year, the sheriff reports $5.5 million was cut from his budget. During that same time, the number of deputies dropped from 931 in March of 2018 to 870 in April this year. That's a loss of 61 deputies in just a year. At the same time, Sheriff Neal says he was being forced to fully staff the courts.
You reassigned because there was pressure, and is pressure, from the courts to cover all courtrooms with at least 1 deputy, correct?
Correct.
While the sheriff admits he is being squeezed, he claims his new plan for the sex offenders unit is working. The number of checks on sex offenders in March was 89. In April, the first full month under the sheriff's new system, the number of checks shot up to 125.
As a reporter, you've been with the story from the beginning. You conducted a story on the sex offender program, and then all of a sudden you find out, oh my gosh, there's a wholesale change occurring here. But I needed to update you to make sure that you were totally informed that we're doing it even better now.
So far, the sheriff's unit restructuring has been good news for rounding up missing sex offenders. Still, it's clear budget cuts are triggering some tough decisions and tough times for the men and women of Hamilton County who wear the badge. I'm Dwayne Pullman, Local 12 News.
And Dwayne requested an interview with Deputies Kuderer and Breeze to talk about their new roles and the sheriff's new plan for the sex offender unit. Both declined.